Alright, people, fine. Girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, a very special good evening to everyone once again. Okay, we are here at the day 13 of our Python Django SQL series and the day 51 of the overall full stack bootcamp that we started right from September 1. Is that okay? Fine. Let's have a quick recap the way we always do before we could start. By the way, this is myself Shabnam as usual from the code app. Good evening, Rakesh. Okay, and all others also. Fine. Yesterday we were talking about loops. Am I right? The two types of loops and the other extended part of the loop, in fact the loop part 2. We were talking about the key difference between for loop and the while statement. while can write loops to iterate data in a range, for loops are exclusively meant for iterating over the sequence structure or an iterative structure like a list, dictionary, tuples or a set. Am I right? We were also talking about somewhere in between the three keywords, that was break, continue and pass. Every time you come here in the class, I expect from all my friends who attend that you would have definitely given a hands-on for practice to all those assignment questions that we provide you. Is that okay? Alright, everyone who have texted here, Naveen, Darshan, Chinnu, Simran, good evening. Okay, and others as well. Fine. Okay, that's all for the point to revise. I do not go back to the programs that we had written in fact. So let's straight come to the point today. What is the topic for the class today? We are going to learn functions in Python. The concept is very much similar to the functions or to that of in JavaScript. Okay, if you have attended the same topic with us in JavaScript, the concept is very much similar, the syntax is different. And even if you have not, never mind, we are going to learn from the scratch. Is that okay? Okay, these are the different subtopics under function or the agenda for the class today. First of all, understanding what does function mean in Python, how to define it, how to call it, then function with parameter, without parameter, function with returning value, without returning value, default parameter, arbitrary parameter, and both combination of default and arbitrary parameters together, as well as how to pass function as a parameter to another function. Okay, it seems to be a very long list. We'll see how much can we cover up. If we cannot, we'll extend it in the class tomorrow. Alright, all of us here, fine. So let's start. This is what is a function. This is my document in the form of notes prepared for the class today. Okay, so basically function, it's a reusable block of code. Okay, what I have made it as bold and change the color to red. Reusable block of code that can be written once and called many times as per needed or as per the requirement arises. Okay, please one more time. एक बार लिखो, जितनी बार चाहिए बुलाओ. This is what is the central idea of function. Okay, those who did not understand the language I spoke, I speak again. Write once and use as many times as you want. This way we will keep the length of the program short. The number of lines of code will also be less. Performance will be high. Throughput will be high. Cost will be saved. So function comes with so much of benefit. Okay, for example, look. In order to find a percentage, I need to total the marks, divide by 100. So total is required. In order to find an average, I again have to total the marks, divide by some number. In order to find the grade, I again have to divide all the marks and check whether it is particular in greater than some number. So you talk about percentage, you talk about grade, you talk about total, you talk about average. The sum of all the marks is a common task for them, right? So instead of finding sum every time by writing code, is that okay? You understood my rest part of the point? Instead of writing code to total the marks every time, for percentage also, then differently for average also, then differently for grade also, it is better how to find the total you keep coded once, and whenever it is required you call this piece of code. Is that okay? So that's the reason we say function is that block of code, or that block of code in a program which can be reused as many times as you want. Fine. Now this is a very formal definition. It's a reusable block of code or some programming statements designed to perform a certain task. Is that clear? Fine. For me in this example, that certain task was calculating sum. The task could be anything. Is that okay? All of us? Okay. Let's see the syntax how to declare a function in Python. Okay. Declare a function. Remember, implementing function is broken into two steps. Come on. Implementing functions in Python consists of two steps. Number one, define a function. Okay, create means define a function. Number two, call a function. Okay, so function से deal करना basically it's broken into two steps. It consists of two steps, define and then call. Is that okay? This process cannot be reversed. You cannot call a function first, define it later. No. Make sure the function prototype or the function definition is clearly coded and then call it. Let's see practically when we put together how does this look like. Okay, here we go. I'm here inside my Visual Studio Code. Okay, my program is working fine. I have a network issue in my location, ma'am, because of cyclone. Okay, Naveen, please take care. Take care. Make sure that you're watching the recorded session later in case if you miss. Alright, fine. People, def is a keyword to create a function in Python. Okay, I repeat the point again. Def, it stands for define. This creates a function in Python. If you have remembered, in JavaScript we had the function called, a keyword called as function itself. Is that okay? I'm just comparing the two languages in case if you can relate some similarity between them. Okay, so def or define is a keyword to create a function, followed by in the syntax name of the function. Okay, suppose the name of my function is display. Okay, colon indicating the function block starts. Is that okay? Colon indicating the function block. Okay, my mistake. This is a function. It needs to end with opening closing round bracket. Okay, indicating the function block starts. Fine. This function has to perform some task. Now what task it has to do, let me write in the definition of the function. Say it has to print welcome to the whatever. I'm writing a code arc. Okay, so every time function display will be called, this common message will be printed on the screen. Is that okay? For example, there are 10 employees in my lab or in my company. Every time in the morning when they log in, after joining, when they log in, this is how the message I give it to them. Welcome to code arc, welcome to code arc. Okay, so I'm not going to write this code 10 times for 10 different people. Instead, every time these guys or these fellows will log in, I'll call the function display some greeting message. Okay, now to your surprise, if I run this code, there is no output as such. Correct? The reason why, because I told you dealing with function deals with two steps, consists of two steps. First, define a function. Function won't give you any output unless it is called upon. Okay, this is the key point of the class today. This is the takeaway from the class today. Everybody here? आज की 1 घंटे की क्लास में आपको ये मेजर पॉइंट सीखना है. Function cannot do anything. Function cannot produce any output unless it is called. जब तक बुलाओगे नहीं, it's not going to come by its own and welcome you or entertain you. Okay, so let's see how to call a function. Definitely, it's simple to answer. How will I call you by your name? Am I right? So I want to answer something to Simran there, or maybe to Nisha there, or maybe to Navin there. So how would I call you? By taking your name or by recalling your name. So how to call a function in the code? Just by calling its name. Alright, fine. So this is my function display. The name of this function is display. So let me call this function by taking its name. Okay, I come out of indentation and anywhere I say display. 1 minute please, this was an incomplete code. Okay, because it is a function, it has to end with opening closing round bracket, and I say run. Good, so this is the output. Fine, I can call it one more time, display. I can call it again one more time, display. Okay, let me execute all these 3 lines of code together. Okay, so 3 times welcome to code arc, welcome to code arc, welcome to code arc. I want to display this message maybe 10 times. So I write like this: for I in range 1 to 10 or 11, whatever. What to be done every time? Call the function display. Okay, so maybe 10 times. I don't sit to count the number in output here. So maybe 10 times I have been shown the message on the screen, welcome to the code arc. Is that okay? All of us? Fine. Okay? So this is how we create a function using the keyword def. Def stands for define. And to call the function like any other ordinary programming languages does, use the name of the function to call it. This is the same concept in C also, C++ also, Java also, JavaScript also, and today to expand the list, Python also. Function banao, function bulao. Is that okay? We might have used so many inbuilt functions up until now. Are you getting it? Like if I just could prepare the list, print is an inbuilt function. Type is an inbuilt function. Input is an inbuilt function. Is that okay? Right in front of you, this is range. This is an inbuilt function. And many more such going up. But this function that we have created or used, that is display, this is a custom function and not an inbuilt function. It's a custom function, people, because we defined it and not Python has defined it inbuilt. Correct? Fine. इसको हमने बनाया है, Python ने inbuilt नहीं डिजाइन किया है. Right? Fine. So this was our first agenda of the class today. That is how to declare a function and how to call a function. Okay, shall be sharing with you this word file post lecture, wherein I have written all these syntaxes and all. Okay, all of us here, fine. Take it. So this was function without parameters. Okay, come on. A new story starts from here. This is altogether a new chapter in function parameters. So let me start from here. Okay, say parameters. Okay, now suppose we have a function called as sum. Now what do you mean by parameter? In case if you pass any variable in the opening closing round bracket of the function, that is called as a parameter. Okay, yes, user defined function. Rajiguru, you're right. I repeat this point again, please. See, in this opening closing round bracket of the function, if you pass the names of any variable like a, I wrote just one variable, therefore the function has one parameter. B, maybe the variable works with 2 parameter. C, maybe I want this function to work with 3 parameter. So all these variables that we write in the round brackets are called as parameters. A little formal definition of parameter, if I talk to you in terms of a programmer, एक डेवलपर की भाषा में अगर आपसे बात करें तो parameters are arguments passed to the function. Okay, my friends who are here a bit experienced, was this point right? What do you mean by parameter? If somebody asks you, parameters are arguments passed in the definition or in the function call of a function. Then again, what do you mean by these arguments? So basically you come back again to the same basic down point of the definition. Arguments are again nothing but these variables which are passed, mentioned, written in the round brackets of a function are arguments. Is that okay, guys? Please keep on acknowledging yes or no whether you are understanding the concept or not. Okay, fine. So if I create something with suppose this is a function and I write names of no variable. Come on, the function sum has no variable as an argument or as a parameter. So this is a function with no parameter. Okay, say it simply has to print. Let me write here as 2 plus 3 is equal to, okay, 2 plus 3. I'm writing here something, say x is equals to 2 plus 3 and 2 plus 3 is equal to x. Thank you for your acknowledgement. Okay, I just want to print, yes, 2 plus 3 is equal to whatever is the sum stored in a variable x. Okay, fine. So if I could run this code, but unfortunately it shows me no output. The reason why, because you have accomplished only the first part of the function definition. This function, to produce an output, it needs to be called upon. Again the same question, then how to call the function? By taking its name or writing its name. So let me say like this, call sum. Okay, so when I call sum, fine, it go to search the function sum, it finds the definition, it sums 2 plus 3 and stores in x, and prints the statement as mentioned in the definition of sum. Is that okay? All of us fine? So this was a function with no parameter. Okay, first one, function with no argument or parameters. Okay, fine. Navin, arguments and parameters are those variables that we pass inside the round brackets of the function. Okay, that we declare in the round bracket by when you define a function. Right? For example, if I write a variable, say a, so a is an argument of the function sum. Okay, now it depends how many arguments you want. Say only one argument, I wrote the name of just one variable. 2 argument, I will be writing the names of 2 variable. No variable, that means a function has no argument. Okay, I hope that's clear now. This was answer to your question. Can you explain argument and parameter again? Okay, all of us understood it, fine. So now let's see a function with one argument. Okay, one argument. So I create a function called as total. I can't write sum again because sum is already been defined. You cannot create one function 2 times. You understood? Of course, when we go to polymorphism and understand how the function with different arguments can be created 2 times and all, that we'll understand in object-oriented programming. As of now, let us not confuse ourselves. Okay, fine. So this is a function total, and say it accepts an argument in a. Okay, a. So let me say, okay, instead of total, let me create a function called as greeting. Okay, greeting people. This is a function called as a greeting, and I just want to print good evening Mr. Assuming the name is a male. Good evening Mr. Now I don't know the name of the person. I'm going to receive the name in this argument a. Okay, so whatever value I receive in this argument a, I just want to print it as it is. Clear? Fine. Now when you call this function, all that you have to do is, now you look, if I do like this, what will happen? Let me run this function and let me call the function. Sorry, it gives you an error. You can't call the function this way because it needs, or it is missing, one argument. Am I right? If the function is defined with one argument, the function call also should be with one argument. If the function is defined with no argument, the function call also should be with no argument. If the function is defined with 2 arguments, the function call also should be with 2 arguments. So moral of the story, the number of arguments in the function definition must be equal to the number of arguments in the function call. Right? I hope people are understanding. Please bookmark this second important point today. Second IMP point, second key takeaway from the lecture. Number of arguments in the function definition should be equal to number of arguments in the function call. Function with one argument in the definition will expect function with one argument in the function call also. And the story goes on. Clear? Fine. Okay, now it depends what are you sending. Suppose if I write 7, so A is going to receive here an integer 7. Okay, now it makes no sense to say good evening to 7. Am I right? Okay. So what happens if I run this function call? It says good evening Mr. 7. That means 7 got received in A. 7 was received by A. And the value of A inside the function is going to be 7 throughout. Got it? I repeat, the value of A inside the function block or in the scope of the function is going to be 7. Right? If I pass some boolean value here, like true, right? So A is going to receive true and the value of A inside the function block is going to be true. So wherever inside the function block you use the variable A or argument A, it's going to hold true. And that's what it prints here, good evening Mr. True. This time during function call, let me pass a string. Say name of the string is Rajesh. Okay, fine. So this time A receives in the argument during function call Rajesh. Is that okay? A receives in the argument during function call value Rajesh. Now throughout the scope of this function, A will hold Rajesh. So wherever you use A to display, it's going to display Rajesh. Is that okay? Say good evening Mr. Rajesh. Again print how are you? How are you Rajesh? Something like that. Again I'm writing A here. Okay. So let me define this function. Let me call Rajesh again. Yeah, so good evening Mr. Rajesh. How are you Rajesh? So as many times I'm using A in the scope of the function, within the scope, it's printing me Rajesh. Am I right? Fine, correct. So this is a function who is accepting only one argument. Now suppose I want to accept the name of Rajesh also and the surname of Rajesh also. Not as one string, as two different string. Okay, so fine. Let me write here Rajesh and surname as Shukla. Okay, so the two things I'm passing while calling the function, two argument. Now Rajesh will be received by A and Shukla को receive करने के लिए there is no argument there. Let's run this and it gives you an error. Sorry, the function greeting can take only one argument but two were given. Yes or no? Yeah, the function takes only one argument but we are so sorry. Sad. It is sad to say that two were given. Am I? So that there are two ways now. Either you make Rajesh Shukla as one argument, या तो आप ये दोनों को एक ही स्ट्रिंग में भेजो like this. Okay, तो बात बन सकती है. And no, but for some reason I don't want it to be two different string. I'm sorry, one same string. Okay, this way. So let us increase. I think there's some error here. Okay, this one. That's fine. Okay, so to accept the surname, let me create your second argument. Okay, so good evening Mr. Shukla. For example, I want to write like this. Good evening Mr. Shukla. How are you Rajesh? Okay, just for an experiment. Good evening Mr. Shukla. And how are you Rajesh? Okay, so let me call the function this time. Yes, good evening Mr. Shukla, because B holds in the scope of the function value Shukla and A holds within the scope of the function value Rajesh. Any answer to the question Shreyas is asking? Friends, any answer from your end? Like, can we take input for arguments in a call statement? Yes, of course Shreyas, why not? In fact, that is my next point of discussion here. Every time we are not going to hard code this. Is that okay? For example, I want to input age of the user. Age of the user. This age I will send as an argument to the function. Say the name of the function is vote. This function is going to receive the age and print whether he or she is eligible to vote or not, or eligible to drive or not. Okay, so let's see quickly how can we do that. Okay, if others can also assist me to write that code. Okay, let's write some new piece of code here. See, this is a variable age. Input, enter your age. Alright, so let me keep this code executed. 44. ठीक है, I create a function here, say def vote. Okay, now your choice, you argument name you write any. You want to write again age, you want to write just A, B, x1, x2, x3, choice is your, because there is no relation between this name and this name. Okay, the reason why, because A is a local variable which can be used only in the scope of the function, whereas age is a global variable that can be used throughout this program. Is that clear, all of you? A is a local variable, people. Even if I write age here, this variable will be newly created which can be used only in the function, and the moment you come out of the function, this will be destroyed. Right? So the argument name and the variable name outside can be same also, can be different also. Even if it is same, the function creates a local variable by the same name again, and that can be used only within its own scope. Okay, fine. I'm writing here A, and I simply write an if else statement. If A is greater than 18, greater than or equal to, whatever. Okay, just print a message, yes, you are eligible to vote, or eligible to drive, eligible to vote. Okay, otherwise please print sorry, you are not. Okay, you are not. Okay, people, see you noticed one thing. I'm writing a you aren't, but it's showing me some error. In fact, this was one of the doubt also we saw on our channel, that somebody asked us that what is the difference between writing a statement in a single quote and a double quote. Now this is a problem. If you're writing it in a print statement in a single quote, but within the message, if a single quote is required, it will terminate it. For example, this statement started from here and it got terminated here. Right? So to prevent such thing from happening, what you have to do is the main statement, try to enclose it in double quotes. Okay, now the outer statement won't be terminated unless the other double quote has been found. Is that okay? Fine. Otherwise you write statement to be printed in a single or in a double quote, all works well always, unless or until your static statement itself involves a single quote. Okay, chaliye. So you aren't eligible. Okay, now let's quickly call this function vote. This was the definition of the function. Let's quickly call this. How to call? Take the name of the function. What do you want to pass? Now what should I write here? A or H? Yes, Raji Guru, correct. I'm waiting for your answer. What should I write during the function call? Should I write the variable name A or should I write the variable name age? Any answer from your end? What is the correct option to be mentioned in the round bracket? Come on, I'm stuck up. Help someone. What to be written there? Is this voice lagging or people aren't able to answer? You help me. What to be written there? Of course, age. No fool will write here A. आप देखिए वो मुझे एरर बता रहा है भाई A कौन है? It's asking me. A is not defined. Who is A? कौन है ये भाई साहब A? You understood? Who is A? Nobody knows who is A. A का scope उधर create हुआ, उधर खत्म भी हो गया. A is not known member outside the function. That's a local variable. You understand my point here? Nobody knows A outside the function vote. उसका scope is local. Right? Age. Thank you. Okay, fine. So I pass the variable here as age. Okay, fine. ठीक है. You are eligible to vote. Is that okay? Fine. You could have written this code inside the function also, like this. Let me cut it from here. Let me paste it here. But in that case, there was no need of passing an argument then. Am I right? There was no need of passing an argument in that case because you're already accepting age inside the function word, correct? So let me not pass this argument in the function call also. Let me not do that. Okay. So now when I call vote, it is first asking me to write the age. See, I write the age as 15. No, you aren't eligible to vote. Okay, what if we call a function before declaring? So suppose there is a function called as let me say difference, which is going to find the difference between two numbers. Okay, so there's a number called as a. Okay, enter a number. And there's a function called as b, who also says enter a number. And after the two numbers have been entered, I'm passing the two arguments a, b. Okay, so simple. First of all, it gives me error, there is no difference function. And suppose if I code the function difference here. Okay, so the two arguments, again I'm writing a and b only. Say print difference is say a minus b or whatsoever. Am I right? Fine. So if I try to execute this function and I try to call the function again, but this time I'm calling the function before definition as per your question, Shreyas. No, my friend, it's not defined. Is that clear? A and b not okay. 1 minute. 1. Enter a number. So let me say a is 4. B, enter a number. So let me say 5. 1 minute please. Not 5 here. I'm writing 5 here. Okay. So this time a and b are defined. Again let me call this function. Okay, so I think it's working nicely. That is 4 minus 5. Is it okay? That's just a warning. We can ignore it. I hope you got my point now. Fine. So there is another function called as say product. Okay, there's another function called as product which is going to return the, let me say, the multiplication of a and b. Okay, so and the function is here, product. That's a comma b, and it's going to print a into b. Is that okay? A into b. But the thing is what, you look, if I run this, it says product is not defined. Last time it executed because I kept this small part of code executed first. Shreya, so that is going to put you in the trouble in fact. You understood? Pichli bar ho gaya because I kept that small 2 lines of code executed, therefore interpreter could find it. But this time I did not run line number 51 and line number 52. So it's giving me an error, product is not defined. You understood? Fine. So as per synchronous programming, if it executes the code line by line, suppose I run this whole program as a whole, you got my point here? If I run the entire Python file as a whole, the program will get stuck up there. Fine. So both the cases, how you handle it, I leave it up to you for that. So this time I run this 2 lines 51, 52 first, and then try to call product. So it returns me 4 into 5, that's 20. Okay, all of us are fine. So this is function with 1 argument, function with 2 arguments. Now sometimes what happens, we don't want function to print a value, we want function to return a value. Okay, return. Now there are 2 questions here. How to make function return a value? Please keep them noted. How function can return a value. Number 2, why would function return a value? You understood? Why would any function do that? Why would it return a value? So let's first try to understand the first question. How the function in Python returns a value. Is that okay? Fine. So let me say we have a function called as total. Okay, it takes some 3 argument a, b, c. So these are the marks of 3 different subjects. And it has a variable here called as sum, which simply adds a plus b plus c. And using the keyword returns, it returns sum. You understood? We're using the keyword return. Return is a keyword, people. Return sum. Okay, fine. So let me call this function this time total. Considering every marks obtained is out of 100. So the marks of first subject is 75, then 85, then 65. Okay, fine. So what happens now? I execute it. Now let me execute the function call. In function call. Because collab is not synchronous, Shreyas, that's the reason. Okay, collab isn't synchronous, that's the reason. Okay, fine. Okay, so 75, 85, 65. Now this got totaled. Am I right? And you could see 225 has been returned here. Is that okay? People, return sum and 225 has been returned here. But remember one thing. Whenever a function returns a value, you always have to accept in some variable. Okay? You always have to accept in some variable. For say, I am accepting it in a variable, say answer. Okay? Answer is equal to, now the value returned by the function total I have stored in a local variable answer. So this time if you could run the code, you see 225 isn't printed, rather got redirected in a variable answer, correct? इस बार 225 print नहीं हो सका, rather the total got redirected into answer. So let's try to print what's present in answer. Okay, that's 225. Alright, fine. So this is how we can make a function to return some value. Alright, accept some argument and return the value. Now the second question, why would function return a value? See, try to understand, as we started the lecture today by, function is ideally that block of code which can be reused for many tasks. Okay, now I am very sure that to calculate percentage of the student out of this 3 marks, I need a total. Am I right? To calculate average, I need a total. So how will I do that? See, percentage is equals to, okay, say percentage is equals to, call the function total. Okay, say by entering the marks, say 45, 67, 89. I hope you got my point. And divided by 100, or let me say 300. Okay, so the total is 300 here. Okay, and then simply multiply it by 100, whatever is the formula that you use to calculate the percentage. Okay, tuple and integer, fine. So let me do it this way. Okay, this was my mistake. I think I passed all this in the function argument. Am I right? Fine. So divided by 300 and multiply it by 100. Is that okay? Fine. So if I could print percentage now, so it says me 67% is the result. Okay, so if you could see one thing, this was a function call to calculate the percentage. Am I right? And suppose if I want to find the average, so let me see, avg is a variable. Average is what? The total scored upon the grand total. So let me call the function. Why should I add the 3 numbers again? So this common task, that is a plus b plus c, let us reuse by calling the function 45, 67, 89. Okay, divided by 300. Because it's an average, I am not multiplying by 100. Say print average this time. Okay, print average this time. Okay, so something is an average here. Is that okay? I think not 300, it should be 3. Is that okay? Fine. We are not interested here in average, or we are not interested here in the percentage, but actually we are interested here to answer the question by why would you want a function to return a value? Because all these operations ahead needed one common action or common function, that was sum. So why should write that code again and again? Instead reuse it from the block. Concept understood. everyone. Fine. So return is a keyword, but make sure a function at a time can return only one value. For example, you cannot make this function to return multiple values. Okay, return sum also, then return let me write the formula here only, a minus b or minus c also, and something like that. No, function at a time can return only one value, and once a function returns a value, it exits. Then it has got nothing to do ahead. Okay, returning a value is an exit criteria from the function. Now you have got nothing to do with. Okay, so make sure that when you're returning is almost the last statement in the function definition. Is that okay? All of us? Fine. I don't want that. I delete this line. Oh, okay. So let's quickly go ahead and see all that we have done. Function without parameters. Okay, function returning a value. Okay, you could see this is a function add two numbers. This is without any parameter. This is simply adding num1 and num2 and returning the total. Am I right? Some or what similar we did it. Okay, then function with parameters. Now with parameter could be one parameter, two parameter, right? Two parameters like total, and you're accepting two parameters here, number one, number two, and all. Okay, function with a key and a value. I repeat the point again, a function with a key and a value. Now what does that mean? See, if you could just read this point, if you pass arguments with keys and value, then order of the argument does not matter. Okay, order of the argument does not matter. For example, I write one function here. Okay, let me put it as a comment here. Function with key and a value. Okay, so let me create a function called as greeting again. Okay, greeting again. Okay, and this accepts two names, say A and B, that is first name and last name. Okay, and I'm just printing here, say welcome first name, that is whatever will be the first name, with last name. Okay, welcome first name and last name, the two variables that I'm printing here. Okay, now but how do I call this function greeting? See, this is again by the name greeting again. Okay, and I say first name is equal to, say Raj, and last name is equal to Kumar. Interestingly, you see what happens. Now this was an optional part of the code, people. If you don't write the name of the key, this is key and this is a value. Got it? ये काम हम ऊपर भी कर सकते थे. We could have done earlier in the other functions demonstrations also. The key and a value. If you do not skip it, you see what is the advantage here. So let me first run this part of the code, and now I run this again. Okay, so it says me welcome Rajkumar. Okay, now suppose if I write this function this way, say greeting again, but I want to display my last name first. So I say last name is equal to, say Kumar, and first name is equal to, say Raj. Right? So this is the advantage of calling function with argument as key value pair. Okay, so even if you write last name first, now Kumar will be the last name and Raj will be the first name. So order is not important here. You write first name first or last name first. Okay, so if I could run this code, good. This is again last name Raj and the first name Kumar. Okay, but if you pass this way, greeting again, and I say Raj and again Kumar, so this is Raj Kumar. But if I write it this way, this is the last attempt, this time Kumar and this time Raj. So by default Kumar will be assigned to first name, which is not actually the first name. and Raj is going to be assigned to the last name, which is actually not the last name. Right? So if you are not calling function with arguments as key value pair, order matters, people. Mind you, please note down this point. If you do not call function with key value pair, then order matters. And if you call function with key value pair, then there is nothing called as order to bother about. Okay, so if I could run this, you see it tells me welcome Kumar and Raj, because Kumar was received in first name and Raj was received by the last name. Hoping people have understood all these points. Is that okay? All of us here, people, today for some reason we are running short of time. We are yet left to schedule another class, so we would like to stop the lecture here today, only for the day today. Never mind, tomorrow we'll extend the class by another few minutes. Okay, so we won't be able to cover up this part of the agenda. Thank you. Okay, like arbitrary arguments. Okay, especially how we can use it by or with the help of key args. Okay, asterisk args means you can accept actually any number of argument. Okay, so when I write something with asterisk, that means, you know, no limit how many arguments can be passed. Is that okay? All of us here, fine. So from here we will be starting with our discussion from tomorrow. The topic for tomorrow will be higher order functions, wherein we will be studying recursive function, anonymous functions, lambda function, and some other characteristics of functions like map, filter, zip. So that will be a little advanced topic of Python, and not as easy as the loops and the conditional statements or maybe sets and dictionaries that we have been doing so far. Is that okay? So you can consider it this way, that the class from tomorrow onwards we will be slowly steadily moving to the advanced Python. Is that okay? All of us, fine. Let's have a quick recap of what we have learned today. Quick recap, people. We started with what is a function. A block of code which can be repeatedly used. Block of code which can be repeatedly used. 2 steps in implementing a function: define a function and then call a function. To create a function in Python, the keyword is def, that stands for define. Function can be created in Python with no arguments, 1 argument, 2 argument, or any number of arguments. Function in Python can also be made to return a value, but a function at a time can return only 1 value. Is that fine? All of us here? Okay, fine. That's all for the class today. We're winding off 10 minutes early. We shall compensate this 10 minutes to you in the upcoming lectures. But do not forget to practice, practice and practice as much as you can. Okay, goodbye. Take care.